Hi, I'm Mary Abazia, and with me is Tom Spitali, and we're with Impact Planning Group. And we have the pleasure of being partners with Adiseo in coming up with ways to figure out how to make your job easier and more successful by looking at customer needs and figuring out a way to provide better materials and stronger campaigns for you. So, Tom?
Yeah, this is a less than 10-minute video that will detail the instructions for something really important that we would like you to help us with in terms of dialogue with customers. There's also going to be written information that goes along with this video. But as Mary said, this is about improving campaigns. In the past, during our interviews that we had with dozens of regional leaders, we found that the campaigns in the past have been a little hit or miss. They've been based on CBIs, customer business issues, and sometimes they've been relevant, but sometimes the campaigns have not been so relevant. So we recently convened a group of regional leaders and went through a process where we laddered up those CBIs into something that we think you'll find more useful called customer success factors. It's the way different customers operate their businesses to make profits. So we've designed a process where we hypothesized with this group of regional leaders what we thought were five really strong customer success factors. And now Mary's going to start talking about the process where you can validate these in the field in your dialogue with some of your key customers.
Yeah, so the setup of this is very straightforward. You're going to get a sheet of paper that has these CSFs on them, and you'll print it out and cut them up. And so you'll end up with these really nice cards here. And on each one is one of the CSFs that Tom just talked to you about. So help me reduce cost and protect my margins. So that's more around cost. Help me get better performance from my animals, or if you're talking to feed mills, my operations. So it's about performance more. The third one is help me achieve consistent and predictable results. And then the fourth is help keep my animals healthy and avoid issues, health. And then the fifth one is help me run my operation simply and efficiently. So hopefully you're starting to see some things that your customers would normally talk to you about. We may not have all of the answers here. So you have three cards that if a customer says, there's one that is missing, and you're going to prompt them to say, is there anything missing? You say, fine. And then there are three that are blank, and they can just simply write in, help me too. You can write it in or they write it in. And so you may end up with one, two, or three extras if they say that these don't represent their needs. So Tom, oh, and then by the way, so they'll finish what Tom's going to describe to you. And then the other equipment is something you always have is your cell. You just take a picture of how they've laid out these cards. And then there is an Excel sheet that's pretty easy to fill out. You just have to put in the information that you'll have already collected. So Tom, process?
So I hope you can see that these CSFs are things that customers think about all the time, and hopefully campaigns based on them will be more relevant more of the time. So here's the process to see if we've got the right five CSFs here or are there others that we missed. The idea would be to talk to up to five customers. Who should you pick to have this dialogue with? Probably most of them should be customers you know fairly well, but maybe a couple might be customers that you want to know a little bit more about. You're going to find that this process opens up a really rich dialogue with them. You can choose integrators, feed mills, or farm operators. Now, as you go to conduct this CSF validation process, you will probably have some other business to take care of, which you should do first. But in the last 10 minutes, say, of a sales call, you could say, we're undertaking a project at Adiseo to try to get to know our customers better. I'd like to ask you a few questions about your needs. May I try something out with you? And typically, because this is a process about them, they'll say yes. Now, you may be talking to a vet. You may be talking to a nutritionist. You may be talking to a farm or feed mill operator. That's okay. What you want to do is ask them to take the perspective of the entire operation. If their entire decision-making team was sitting around, you want them to be into that mindset, not their just personal role-based mindset, but the mindset of the operation. And then you say the following. We're trying to get to know you better. We've hypothesized what we think are some of your most important needs. And you show them the 5 cards, reading them one at a time that Mary just went through, and ask them, did we miss anything? Do these capture the primary ways that you try to make profit in your organization? And they'll either say, I think you nailed it, or they'll say, I think you missed 1 or 2. And of course, you write those down onto the blank cards. At that point, you enter into the final step, which is the most important step, because not all customers will prioritize these CSFs in the same way. We want to see how this operation would prioritize these CSFs. So you ask them to put the CSFs that they agreed are relevant into the order of importance, first, second, third, fourth, and so on until they've ranked all of them. No ties. We need them to break any ties and tell if 2 that are really close to each other, which one would be more important to them. Once they've done that, Mary, what do they do?
Yeah, and by the way, sometimes what we find in doing this is that a customer says these are all important. And you have to say, we understand that, but there might be 1 or 2 that are more important and maybe a bit less important. So you might guide them a bit more and put the most important to the top, the next, all the way down, as Tom's saying. Then you take your phone, you take a picture of it, and then you take that information and put it into the Excel sheet. What we will do is there are several sales people that are doing this. We're going to collect all of that information and start to cluster it and identify what are the most important big themes that are coming out that then we can make sure that the campaigns in the future are built around. If you get stuck at all, as Tom said, we have a sheet that you can reference, and you can contact Louise or us and ask for any help that you have, so that we just want to make sure that you enjoy this process and that it is very straightforward to you.
Yes, so thanks, and we look forward to working with you on this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.